Well, good morning, everyone. This is Jennifer Sanchez. You are watching us live with our Wise Morning Coffee Chat show. So, woohoo, we're on this morning. Um, Super excited of my guest today. I think that you guys are going to really love her and what she's all about. And she is in what is the time over there right now? You're in
Right now it's 4:27 p.m. in Istanbul, Turkey.
So she's in Istanbul, Turkey. So we want to definitely bring great conversation and bring different people on our show as well, highlight amazing women from our community. So I'm your host, Jennifer Sanchez. Of course, the show is all about inspiration, conversation, and motivation. And I'm the founder of the Women's Institute of Self Development and Efficacy. I know it's super long, just keep it wise for short. And we are all about empowering women in all areas of their life. So that's who I am. I'll give it away to my guest. Rose, can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yeah, my name is Dr. Rose Aslan. I'm an American currently living temporarily, perhaps in Istanbul, Turkey. And I am a transformational life coach. Primarily, that's one of the things I do. The other thing I do is I'm a associate professor of religion at California Lutheran University in California.
Nice. So,
And it's a pleasure
um,
to be here. Thank you for having me.
oh no, thank you. And me and Rose, we go back about 3, 4 years. I mean, we've connected for a while. We did our own accountability, so it's awesome. Um, can you share with the viewers what do you teach in the university?
Yeah, so I'm a professor. Specifically, I teach about Islam. My PhD was in Islamic studies, but I teach at a Christian university, and I'm a scholar of Islam who's also Muslim. So I also teach comparative religions, introduction courses in religion, looking at different religious traditions, and then I teach upper division courses on different subjects in Islam. For example, Muslims in the modern world, Islamic spirituality, exploring the Quran, and other related topics.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Love the topics. And it's different when you go to college and you learn about a religion versus learning it in a traditional,
Hmm.
mosque or church, right? Like I remember taking a class and it was kind of like we're reading the Bible as a book. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's read it as a book," right? And you break it down differently, you
Exactly.
dissect it differently. Um so of course, thank you. I see we have some people. Let's say good morning to them. Good morning,
Morning, everyone.
Phyllis.
Good afternoon.
Oh yeah, good afternoon, Lola. Good morning. We have a Facebook user. If you guys can give permission, here's a link: chat restream /FB, just so that we can see your name because I cannot see who you are. So again, it's chat.restream.io /Facebook. Those are for our guests that are watching through the community group. So awesome. Let's go straight into coffee time. So, for those that don't know, this is coffee time. It's a coffee chat show, right? Like the whole premise around this is how many times have you met a professional or someone you say, let's go get a cup of coffee, right? Like that's a very common thing we do to meet people and get to know one another and do business networking with one another, right? So, I thought, well, why not do this through a show format, and get to know each other over coffee in a show. So, um, Rose, what are you drinking this morning? If you're drinking anything, I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
I am drinking. I have a nice cup of Genmaicha green tea, which I just love. It's, toasted rice with green tea. One of my favorite teas.
Oh, matcha green tea. I love matcha green tea too. How do you, what,
Genmaicha.
so tell me what's the difference. Tell me
I
what that is.
I usually it's toasted rice with green tea. It's a Japanese tea, and so I put it in this press, and then I yeah
Yes,
press it down.
okay,
Yeah. I
you're
love
a
my green teas. I'm a green tea connoisseur. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink much black tea. Primarily green and herbal teas is my
green.
favorite kind of drink.
Yeah, we have some people in our community who are like green tea enthusiasts, so you'd fit right in.
Wonderful. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And matcha I love too.
Nice, nice. And for those that are drinking, let us know if you're drinking coffee, if you're having your shake, whatever you're drinking this morning. This is an interactive show, so we will show your comments on the air, of course. And of course, I'm drinking my black coffee, and I have it in my Ladies Limitless mug, who was
Love
gifted.
it.
It was gifted to me. I don't remember who gifted it to me, but whoever did, thank you so much. Um, so let's go straight into we're doing coffee time. If you guys have any questions, you guys saw that our conversation is going to be revolved around compassion, right? Compassion. What is compassion? Why is it? And I think the viewers are going to appreciate Dr. Rose. Rose, I call you Rose all the time. Do you want me to refer you as
Just call
Doctor?
me Rose. Just call me Rose.
Okay.
I just use doctor when I'm in situations primarily that involve a lot of men where I need to assert my authority as an
Mm.
academic and a professor where I'm not going to be respected because of my gender. But in a community of women, I don't feel need to use my title, especially.
Awesome, awesome. I actually would love to even talk about that more because that is interesting for you. And I've met so many women who are professors. One in our community who I always refer to as doctor. And she's like, "Don't call me as doctor." I'm like, "But you're Dr. Lopez." Just putting it out there.
Yeah,
That's your name. I do want to be respectful. Um, we have Lola. She said, my daily lean protein shake. So I'm a protein gal too. So I love protein shakes. So let's go into the topic of compassion. Can you share first off your story, Rose, to the viewers? Like, how did you get into ROM compassionate coaching? I might be saying it wrong, but you can share with us what.
oh, Rahma, just compassion flow coaching. So where do I begin and how much time do we have?
We have a good half hour.
Okay. So how did I get into coaching? How did I get into compassion? Where should I
Well, share
begin?
share your story of how you started your practice. How about that?
Okay. So I established my practice earlier this year formally. I've been a professor for the past 7 years, and before that, I was in grad school for 6 years where I was teaching university level classes. And, I've always had a passion for teaching. And I especially love mentoring students. And I often, in graduate school, I was a mentor to the Muslim Student Association. And then also as a faculty member, I've been a mentor to the Muslim Student Association as well. And so I've been part of other mentoring programs for students as well. And that's a really important part of my job. And so when I thought about it, I've actually been working and doing coaching for many years without calling it coaching, without knowing it was coaching. When I really started
Mm.
to learn about coaching, and get into it. It took a long time, and that's mainly because I'm from California. The state is saturated with coaches, as you probably know, a lot of Tony Robbins type, and those kind did not really appeal to me. I wasn't into this kind of hyped up, super productivity oriented, male energy kind of coaching. And for me, I lived in the ivory tower, the world of academia, where if you didn't have a PhD, like I probably wasn't gonna, pay much attention to you. And I was within this world of academia where everything was about the research, the studies, publishing, and teaching, and that's really my whole world. So coaching was not part of that world, really. And for most academics, we often neglect our personal life, taking care of ourselves, especially as women, where we have to sacrifice so much to exist in that. So when I was with you in the program with Dr. Carrie Ann Rockamore in the annual clarity retreat I did with her, the first one being in 2019, it was very transformative for me. It was a time when I could just imagine life other than the different than the one I had. My life was a lot of grind. I lived an hour from my campus, so it was a lot of driving with a little one. He's almost 8 now, so he's much smaller then. Being a single mother, trying to do everything, picking up the child, my kid at 6 p.m., after a long day of work, and then barely getting to the gym, barely getting enough food before he's down to bed, and then doing more work. As soon as he went down to bed, it was just like all work and no play. I didn't even have time to socialize or to even make friends because I was so busy. But it was in the annual clarity retreat with Carrie Ann Rockamore that really I got exposed to coaching. I had actually been through in her program as a faculty member in 2015. She didn't call it coaching. She just called it the faculty boot camp, actually, which is funny because it doesn't sound like coaching at all. It was actually coaching in disguise for faculty members who don't like the idea of coaching. I think that's why she doesn't use the word coaching anywhere in that program. That program changed my approach to teaching and to research and helped me be a little bit healthier, but I was still pretty much in the grind. But it was after that retreat in 2019, and then the year later, I did it again, and I was able to receive some mentorship from her that she started to tell me, based on what I told her about my interest, that coaching might be something I should look into. And I was very skeptical to start with. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think so. That's not really something I can do. I'm an academic. That's all I know how to do. And I'm good at what I do. And so it just took a lot of mind shifts and things falling into place to realize that coaching actually is incredibly beautiful and magical and transformative. And it wasn't until I actually got coaching myself, formally got coached, that I started to realize the magic of it. And of course, you can't really get coaching until you've gone through your own healing from past traumas. So I had gone through years of therapy and other healing modalities to recover from past traumas. And it was really quite effective to get into coaching once I was able to get through some of my past. And I just saw the magic of coaching myself. And so I decided that I wanted to also do it. And I spoke to a lot of people who are coaches, and they all just convinced me that it could be a way to really serve women who I want to work with and to help them change their lives for the better. So I
Yeah.
decided to do it, and I got the training, I got business skills, and as an academic, I had no business skills whatsoever. Like I didn't know the first thing about sales or marketing or how to establish a business or anything. So I had to start from scratch. Luckily, I'm a fast learner, so I was able to do that. I'm still in the process of learning how to be a good entrepreneur too.
Nice. Well, that's a awesome. I love that you said you had to deal with a lot before you even got into coaching. You had to do therapy and you had to do a lot of internal work. And I know me and you've
Hmm.
had conversations offline where it's like you've said everyone needs therapy, right? Like we all.
Hmm.
And I guess maybe if you could share your perspective on like the benefits before you embark on this new journey, why therapy is so much needed, even if you think you don't need therapy.
Yeah, great question. There's a big difference between therapy and coaching, right? Therapy is helping people heal from their past traumas, and coaching is helping people be mindful of their present and work towards their future. We have to start with the
I
past
love
to be
that
able to go
definition.
forward in a positive way. And most people have trauma in their lives, developmental, certain things that have happened in their lives that cause them to not be as good at regulating their nervous system and being able to have good boundaries and to protect themselves. So I would say a large majority of people could benefit from sitting with certified psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, depending on what their needs are, to learn some of these skills of how to be an adult in this really overwhelming world. And a lot of us are not born into families that are necessarily emotionally healthy, and our parents and family members don't necessarily know how to move through this world in healthy ways. And so a lot of us have to learn that as adults. And that was my situation, is literally learning as an adult what it means to be healthy emotionally, spiritually, in other ways. It wasn't something that was modeled for me very well, I would say, growing up.
Mm,
And that's what happened in therapy, is I learned how to do that. And it's not over. I still attend therapy, and I find it incredibly useful to continue that process.
yeah, I agree. I do the same thing. So it's a constant work in progress, I think. And
Hmm.
I think sometimes even the therapist will show you something that you might have not been identifying, right? Until you go and you're
Exactly.
like, oh, I was struggling with that. Oh, okay, let me look into this. So let's go into the topic of compassion. So I know that I, as I read, and if you guys follow her social media platforms, we'll give a shout out at the end of where you can follow her. But everything has the word compassion in it. So
Yeah.
I want to, learn more about, how can we have a more compassionate life?
Hmm. Great question. Well, that's a big question, right? How can we have a more compassionate life? So my business, as you mentioned, is called Compassion Flow Coaching. And I came up with that name because I was like, what's a word I use a lot? Oh, compassion. And of course, flow goes really well because the idea of compassion flowing through your life just sounds so beautiful. And so that's why I named my
Mm,
practice that. What is compassion? How can we bring it more into our life? It's something that I wasn't raised with. I didn't really know much about it. And when I started to learn more
mm,
about it as an adult, I was like, oh, I really place emphasis on compassion for other people. I was raised to have compassion for others, to have empathy. I'm a highly sensitive person, an empath. And so that wasn't an issue, but I often neglected myself in the process, and I burnt myself out to a crisp many times over my life. And I didn't really take into account my personal needs, my physical needs, emotional, spiritual needs. And so as I started to learn about this idea of compassion, and in Arabic, the word is rahma, which means compassion. But actually, I want to dig into this Arabic word for a second because it's a really important word in Arabic and in the Islamic tradition. Rahma comes from the root letters raha mim, rahim. And the word rahim means womb. It means this really beautiful feminine quality. It means womb, and then the name of God in Arabic. God has 99 names in Islam, and one of the names of God in Arabic is Rahman. So Rahim is the name for womb, and one of the names of God is Rahman, which is the same root, which means it's a name for God that means the merciful, the most compassionate. It's a very feminine quality of God as well. And another name of God is Rahim, which is also comes from the same root and also means the most beneficent, the most compassionate as well. And so
mm,
within the Islamic tradition, it's really quite beautiful that when Muslims begin anything and when they start with any prayer, they always say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which means in the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. This is the prayer that all Muslims say whenever they start anything. And here they are calling on the quality of God that is beautiful and feminine and compassionate and mercy. And so the tradition is based on this, despite what you see in the media that does not show the compassionate side of Muslims and Islam, unfortunately, within the United States and Western media. But I can guarantee you that within the textual tradition of Islam and among people who actually practice Islam, according to mainstream positions, not according to extremist positions, to be a Muslim is to be a compassionate person. But of course, Muslims, like everyone else, forgets this, right? And so I'm calling people back to remembering the need for bringing this mercy for ourselves, for others. And there's the golden rule: do unto to others as you would have them do unto you, or love what for your neighbor what you love for yourself. Just those really basic golden rules. Well, the thing is, to love something for someone else, you got to love yourself. And we often forget that. We often forget that to help others, to serve others in our community, we need to fill our cup. And I was, I was serving. I love serving, and I forgot to fill my cup up. And that's why I kept on burning out. And I'm learning that as I learn how to fill my cup up, to be gentler with myself. I'm a human being. I make a ton of mistakes. I make slip ups all the time. And I used to be so hard on myself and just didn't overthink it until my mind would just overload with thoughts that were so useless, really. They would just really make me stress and have more anxiety. I'm learning to let go, to sit into the idea of God, the divine, being compassionate, being forgiving, um, being aware that I'm a human, that I will make mistakes, that I'm going to have feelings and thoughts that show that I'm not perfect, that I'm not an angel, that show I'm very much human. And that's part of the process of learning to grow and evolve in our paths.
Yeah, I love that. And I see that there's some comments coming in. For
Mhm.
those that are commenting through the group, the community, the Facebook group, please click on, I put it in the chat, chat.restream.io/FB, because I don't know who you are. So I want to make sure I address you and say hi to you. So please click on that. So I see someone said, hola, hello. And then the Facebook user said, it's very easy to overlook compassion for ourselves even if you have compassion for others, we are
Mhm.
often very hard on ourselves. Any thoughts around that comment, Rose?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. So thank you, Facebook user, for reiterating that in a really simple and beautiful way. I talk about this journey that I've been on. I didn't know I had a body. I have to talk about that. I completely neglected my physical body, and to the point that it sounds silly, but I didn't realize that women use, and men too, use specific face wash. I just used hand wash, and that's why it sounds so silly to say that. I just used body moisturizing lotion on my face. I didn't know that self-care meant and loving yourself meant using face wash on your face, using facial moisturizing on your face, because I just figured I've got a body, but whatever, like I'll just, I just need it so I can function and do my intellectual endeavors. And then
Mhm.
along the way, I discovered, oh, using facial moisturizing lotion, it makes a huge difference for how your skin reacts. And it's a silly example, but it's really indicative for me of how I completely neglected my bodily needs and the kind of care that the body needs in addition to the soul, in addition to the mind. And so, yes, we have to care for ourselves in all the different ways. As a mother, especially, I was a really burnt out mother, and I wasn't able to give my son the attention he needed. And every time he'd ask for something, I'd say, "Sorry, I'm working. I can't do it. I'm too busy." Right? That was always my answer to him, and it was really stressful. And I felt guilty, and that mom guilt is real, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I've learned like he matters so much to me, and I want to spend really good time with him. Sometimes it could just mean vegging out on the couch together, but spending time with him, not being on electronics, right? And so I could only start spending more quality time with him when I took care of myself and realized that to be a better mom, taking care of myself really helps that as well.
Yeah, there was something, and I like that response, and thank you for sharing that. And make sure you guys give permission to show your name. We also have another Facebook user. Good morning, ladies. Have a blessed week. I'm about to just go into the group and figure out who's saying what, but um, but definitely, you also have a blessed week. I think when we are burnt out, and maybe a lot of women and men probably can relate, you forget about your basic necessities because you're in survival mode, right?
Mhm.
So it's real easy to say, or let's say if you're going through some sort of crisis of some type, right? Internal or family, or, right? It's very easy to neglect our basic needs. I mean, some people won't eat. Some people won't shower. Some people won't do basic hygiene. So when someone's going through a difficult time, experiencing burnout, I love that you said, just be compassionate to yourself. That's in actuality when you're supposed to take care of yourself even more, but we
Mhm.
immediately neglect that. right?
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what your thoughts are around that, but one thing that you did say to me last week, you said men tend need to practice being more compassionate to others, and women
Mhm.
need to be more compassionate to themselves. Why is that?
Well, that's definitely a generalization, first of all. So as an academic, I can't say this 100% true, but anecdotally, I would say that there's some truth in that, right? And I said this statement, and I don't have like evidence to back it up, but this is just based on experience I've had in speaking with people from different backgrounds. In that women in whatever society we're raised in, United States, Saudi Arabia, whatever country it is, we're gendered in ways that are different than men or boys are gendered, right? Women are raised to, we keep ourselves small. We don't want to take up a lot of space. We have to make sure others around us are happy, are pleased, people please them. We're not raised, well, some women are. See the thing, some women are raised in this way, but many of us were not. So I've met some women who are raised to be very bold, to be brave, to be unapologetic, but the majority weren't, I would say. Again, I'm careful
Mhm.
making generalizations. Men were raised to know that people are there to, or boys are raised to know that people often take care of them, take care of their needs. They're allowed to take up space. Think of phenomena like man spreading, right? Where men like open their legs up really big, and then on public transportation, whereas women like we're like little, like we're hugging our bodies, staying really small so we don't bother anyone. And even just like the physical way we sit in public transportation is really indicative of that. And of course, there's women who aren't like that, right? But there's quite a few women who are. And so, in this way, that men are often just better at taking care of themselves. Women are really good at taking care of others, and we're expected to take care of others, and we're not told that it matters to take care of yourself as well. Now that's changing. I see this younger generation changing in ways that are unbelievably beautiful to me. Even the term self care, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, even in college, it was not a term that we used. Like I knew the
Mhm.
word self, I knew the word care, but did you ever hear the word self care when you were in college or younger? I
No,
didn't.
absolutely not. No.
It wasn't really in circulation as a concept. So really the idea of nowadays young people are thinking about this, but for older generations, I would guess that we're learning all these skills as an adult. We're learning that it's time to step up and learn what we didn't learn as children, to learn this as adults, and to find more equanimity in this world between the genders. I was functioning, really running on my masculine energy when I was really in the grind. And I've also learned to step more into my feminine energy and wills to find this better balance. And I think all of us need to find this better balance between our feminine and masculine energies in our lives. The same goes for men as well.
Yeah. And even thinking about it now that you say it, I think when I was in college, Facebook wasn't even existent yet. Like I think Facebook wasn't even around. I think we
Yeah. I mean,
I,
Facebook was founded in 2006, I believe. So I was in graduate school when it came out.
yeah, I was an undergrad in that time, and I just remember like not until not until, years down with social media, and I think that's probably one of the benefits. In all honesty, a lot of people don't like social media. And I understand that
Mhm.
because it can overtake your life, right? Even we need
Yeah.
self care and boundaries with our social
Hmm.
media platforms.
Hmm.
But if you think about it, you can know something that's happening in Turkey in a matter of seconds
Hmm.
versus before you didn't know nothing that was going on in the world, only what the
Yeah,
media wanted to share, right? Only what TV
exactly.
said, CNN or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
in some positive highlights, if we weren't talking about self care on social media, the younger generation wouldn't even know what that is. Because you're right, I didn't know.
Exactly.
I didn't know self care. All I knew was whatever my friends were doing. Like, in high school, like, oh, everyone's getting their nail done. No, let me go do that. Even my family, my mom wasn't very much into manicures and pedicures, and I had to pick that up on my own, right?
Mm.
Um, so especially like we're more of the rural parts of Mexico, and I call it like the ranch, right? The rancho. So who does manicures, pedicures? No one got time for that. Uh, let's see. We have a comment here from Lola. Lola said, "No self care was not something I grew up knowing about, and my mom never did self care." See, I'm on the same boat with you. She worked outside, worked in the home, and came home and took care of her husband and children. See that right? And now we know better and we can teach our children better. So thank you, Lola, for sharing that comment, because I think a lot of us, and I see you nodding, Rose, like this is
Mhm.
really what we knew growing up, like, oh yeah, mommy's gonna go pamper herself. I've never said that. Did mommy is cooking. Or here's the best one. Have you ever gifted your mom a blender? I'm just asking because sometimes even growing up, I remember like some of the presents we would buy my mom were like things to use to take care of the house. Let's think about
Yeah,
that. Like we are gifting you're gifted your mom a vacuum. Like why would you do that? Y-
really. I think I
Now,
seem to remember gifting my mom like drawings and stuff. I don't remember spending money.
well, I didn't spend. I think it was just like I didn't know any better. I was a kid. We went with, I went with my
Hmm.
my father, and it was kind of like, well, what would
Mm.
mom want? Well, this is what she, you know.
What did you get for your father? Now that's the question. What did you get for him on his
I
birthday
I don't
or
remember.
Father's Day?
I don't remember shopping much for my dad as a kid. I mean, I know my dad would take me to go buy for my mom, but I don't remember my mom taking me
Mm.
for my dad. So I have no
Hmm.
clue now that I think about it. I gotta dig in my subconscious and see if I can figure that out. But just something like, how many times has that happened? Now, if you buy me the Roomba, what is it called? The Roomba, the
Hmm.
little, I'll be happy with
Roomba,
that.
yeah.
That makes my life
That's a
easier.
great one. That's self-care because that's an
Yes.
automatic robot vacuum. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I would love the room, but don't get me wrong. That one's a good one because I don't gotta touch it. I don't have to do anything with it. It just
Yeah,
goes.
yeah.
um, but this is a great conversation. If anyone has any questions that are watching and want to ask while we have Rose on the air, please ask away. Just because I want to be also more compassionate and have more empathy, and that is actually something that I think the last year I've been practicing myself, just trying to be more empathetic, have more compassion towards people, understanding that, like you said, Rose, we all make mistakes. We are, we're all human. I don't know. I think, Rose, I'm doing my master's in the human counseling and life coaching.
Oh, wonderful.
So a lot of the things is compassion and empathy, right? Having an
Hmm.
empathetic attitude towards people. And for me, that's been a struggle, a struggle, right? I can't
Mm.
even, it doesn't even want to come out of my mouth, but just practicing that has been, it's been work in progress for sure. Um, so if no one has any questions, Rose, do you want to share your social media platforms? Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry, can you hear my son calling for me in the background? I hope it's not too loud. He's getting a little impatient. So my business is called Compassion Flow Coaching. If you just Google that, you'll find the website, which is compassionflow.com. My Instagram and Facebook business page is called Compassion Flow Coaching. Very easy to find, and I'm quite active, especially in Instagram, and that's where you can find me. I'm often there. If you ever want to reach out, I'd love to chat.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate your posts, especially your kitty posts. You even talk about being compassionate towards animals. So,
Hmm.
I just want to put that out there. If you guys follow her, become friends with her, I'll tag her on this live so you guys can connect with her, because there is a lot of inspiring things that you post that even for me have touched me. So I just wanted to make sure I
Oh,
share that. So
thanks for
you're doing,
sharing. And you
you,
can find me on my personal Instagram account, Rose Aslan, I think it is, where I post a picture nearly every day of a cat I meet in Istanbul. Istanbul is a city full of cats. Literally, every time you walk down the street, you meet tens of cats. So I take pictures of the cats I meet that I think are adorable. So I post a lot of pictures of cats on that account. If you like cats, follow me
yeah.
there.
I love that. I love it, and they commune with the people. Like it's just part of life,
Mhm.
cats and people, right? If you're a cat lover, that's a great place to go.
It's part of Turkish culture to historically, even for centuries, Turks have been taking care of street animals. This is a historical institution, actually. So even back in the olden days, when it was the Ottoman Empire here, there was specific religious endowments that would provide food and water for pets. Even there's like special places where there's like cobblestones with like that have little indentations in them to collect water for the birds and for the cats to drink out of. So
Oh,
it's actually historically part of this culture to care for stray animals, actually.
oh
It's
my
something that,
God.
so humans live with street cats and some stray dogs quite beautifully.
Oh wow. That's a whole conversation. I
Yeah.
actually want to ask more questions, but it's okay. We're running out of time here. But again, thank you so much, Rose, for jumping on the show today and sharing who you are with the viewers and teaching us a little bit more about compassion and what that would look like
Mm,
in our lives. I really appreciate that.
yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure having being on your show, Jennifer, and thank you so much for having me and for letting me preach about my favorite topic, which is compassion. I think it's a muscle that we all need to work on. I recommend all of your followers, think about how you can bring more compassion into your life on a regular basis every day, and work on that muscle. It'll get stronger.
Amen. Thank you. And I'm going to share. Jennifer said, "Good morning." She said, "Thank you so much." And then Lola also said, "Thank you." So we appreciate you, Rose. Thank you, everyone, for watching. So make sure check her out, compassionflowcoaching.com. I wrote that correctly, right?
Correct.
that, that's where you can
Oh, no, it's
find
actually compassionflow.com.
compassionflow.com. Let's take that off.
Yeah.
We'll edit that. Compassionflow.com. And then, of
Yeah.
course, for those that don't know, if you can, if you have any questions, you guys want more topics, women's self development at gmail.com. We do have a free Facebook community that you can actually join. If you like stuff like this, you want to meet other amazing women, and definitely we have our website, womenselfdevelopment.org, and you can follow us at Women's Self Development. So, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Rose, again. And I appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks. Take